go.
Hey, this is Joycey.
And Blake.
And welcome to Savagely Scaled. I'm like, that's you, girl. That's you.
In this episode, we will be talking about affiliate programming, or programming that you can get as an individual athlete. What is programming? What are the different types of programming out there? What are the differences between these programs? And so on. So let's get into it in 3, 2, 1.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right. And the word of the day. For the word of the day, we will be talking about a wall ball. One of my least favorite items and exercises in the gym.
You know what? I'm okay with it. I know it's going to be rough, but a couple weeks ago, we had reverse lunge wall balls.
Yeah, I heard about that.
I loved them. And
They
mostly
looked wild.
everybody I talked to, there was a few, but if you got the rhythm down, they were so much fun.
Really?
Yes.
I'm so jealous. You should be. I know. I saw it and I was like, that's pretty cool. I just don't know how high I would fling the ball if I'm doing a lunge after it.
No, I still hit the target
Really?
for women's. Yeah.
Ah, okay. Well, I'll have to try that. But anyway, what is a wall ball, right? So when you use a medicine ball, we're talking about a weighted ball. This could range from, a variety of different weights you want to do. But you do use a medicine ball to perform this exercise. You'll be holding this medicine ball and you drop into a front squat position while holding the medicine ball right below your chin. Once you drop into that front squat position, you stand right back up from your squat using the momentum to thrust the ball upward and hit the target that's on the wall. Usually for women, that target's a little lower than the men. But even then, that target's pretty high, at least for someone as short as me who's like 5'2". So
Yeah, it'd be 9, and then the guys hit a 10. And usually, like when you say RX, it would be 14-pound ball and a 20-pound ball.
Yeah.
And the two movements that we kind of warm everybody up with is if you think of a front squat with a push press.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
I do not have fun with those. I need to jump on every one. I can't just thrust it up. Get a little hop at the end,
Yeah, like as your quads and everything are on fire, like you see people just like jumping,
Yeah.
especially like us shorter athletes.
Oh yeah, every time.
Yeah, they're hard. And I've seen like back in the day when Dave had like a qualifying workout, I think it was like a heavy wall ball, and then he had to go above the 10.
Ew.
So like I've never seen like Dave jump in wall balls, and I was like, dang, he has to jump to get it up there.
I have to jump every time, so I feel you. I feel that.
So let's get into programming. So as you all know, a typical CrossFit workout can range anywhere between like 45 minutes to an hour. Most of us do an hour without accessory work. It's split up into 4 parts, including a warm-up, strength component, the workout of the day, WOD, and a cool down. So this is not for all gyms. Not every gym.
Yeah, we don't really do a cool down, I feel like.
Yeah.
But everything else
we did
usually
start
do.
like a accessory work for people who want to stay and do accessory work after.
That's nice.
But we changed programmings.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
So not all CrossFit gyms pay for an affiliate program, and there are many to pick from. We'll be reviewing some of the most popular functional fitness programs available. So just be very mindful that yes, not all gyms stick to it. Some gyms create their own.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes your warm-up is different. I've been to gyms where they're like, hey, you have 2 minutes on the rower and then we'll start class. Or like with ours, we do have a quick warm-up to really get you stretched and everything.
Yeah, I do appreciate a good little warm-up. Do it.
All right.
For the first program we'll be looking at is Comp Train. So many of those in Kingman CrossFit, we started off with this program. This is the one pretty much that I've only had a chance to participate in because literally very recently we just changed programming, which I am so bummed that I'm missing out on because I would love to be a part of that, but it's okay.
Can you tell everybody why you're missing out on it?
Yes, though, I'm doing weightlifting, which is fantastic as well, but I do miss CrossFit. So, but anyways, enough about my banter about how I miss CrossFit. I still love weightlifting though, Coach Chris. Yes, I do. But anyways, Comp Train. So Comp Train was created by world champion coach Ben and I apologize if I'm butchering the last name, Bergeron, created by world champion coach Ben Bergner, founder of CrossFit New England in Massachusetts. So he is known for coaching many great athletes such as Cole Seeger and Katrin, one of our tops. So this type of programming is provided both for gyms as well as just competitive athletes who are trying to improve their game. Some of the great pros about this program is that they do provide 2 weeks free for any athlete who's just trying to get an idea of what the programming feels like. The programming does cost $39.99 a month. Again, this is for athletes who are just coming in directly to purchase the programming and are not part of a gym in particular. But that's usually the price we're looking at for this programming here. They provide excellent scaling options and also very easy to adjust for any athletes who have certain time constraints. So it's a type of programming that is amenable and very adjustable to a variety of individual, I guess, what's the word? Schedules, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a good thing, I think.
And I will say, so with this, we have reached out to some of the programmings. We're trying to see if we can get individual interviews with some of their programming specialists.
Representative.
And we did hear back from CompTrain. Leslie Price from CompTrain did want to say, like, hey, whether we do a sit down with you or not, this is what CompTrain believes in. I always love to hear is that they believe that everyone can do CrossFit. So whether that's a form in, like Joycey was talking about, the different programmings about individual or with CrossFit, some of these programs have really opened up to different things: individual, masters, pregnant, whether you want to do just strength train, lifting, just like how Joycey said that she switched over to weightlifting, which is good, is learning how to lift appropriately.
That's right.
And using
too,
everything. Yep. Getting stronger and really understanding your body. But all of these have different types.
Exactly.
Which is really cool compared to like back in CrossFit where it's just CrossFit.
Yeah.
With some accessory at times.
Yeah, when I was researching this episode, I noticed that a lot of the programs, like you said, have different tracks. So there's certain ones designed for people who are like, I want to make it to semifinals and the game. So what is that going to look like? So they have a program for that. There's some specialized for weightlifting. Others are specialized for, they even have things like running or cycling or things like that. So kind of sitting down and determining what your set goal would be is definitely very important when assessing what program you want to be a part of. So just keep that in mind. But in doing my research, CompTrain is definitely one of those well-rounded programs, I would say, that focuses on pretty much the beginner CrossFitters and kind of providing them an overall view of what CrossFit workouts kind of look like.
Yeah, they're really good for beginners and sculpting what you want to do for CrossFit. The next one we have is HWPO, which this is what our gym recently moved into.
So excited.
And it is very exciting. So it's great for people who are serious about making it to semifinals in the games. It was created by 5-time fitness man on Earth, Matt Frazier.
Oh, I love him.
It is focus is placed on progression, repetition, and attention to detail. Not for the faint of heart, but you will leave feeling accomplished. Most notably used are rowing, squats, and lifts. Pros are a huge focus on accessory work, which we do have now, like accessory work after doing the workout. And we do have members who do it whether we have extra time at the end of a workout or I say, hey, go into open gym and this is what you'll do. I do have members who ask like, hey, what is this? What is that? And it does help grow because back in the day, you would do your workout and you would actually, to me, this was like a mini version of programming. You would go and actually reach out to other, I guess like there's nutritionists, there's programmings, and these heads of these gyms would actually send you kind of like what Chris does. Like he devises a plan for you. They would devise an accessory plan for you and you'd pay for it. And it would just be accessory work. And it's not geared towards what you just did. It's geared on building those little muscles to make, them all work together to get a big finish.
Nice.
So you also have effectively applies the progressive overload principle to make you stronger.
Just pretty much what you were just saying.
Mm-hmm. Tried and trusted by Games athlete Katrin Davidsdottir, Mal O'Brien. And prices vary based on the program as well. So you can do weightlifting for $40 a month. Flagship? What's Flagship?
Flagship, I think, is the original, like, first created program, like,
Ooh.
rendition, I would say, of the program. So they did have a lot of different things.
Yeah, because doesn't Sammy do one? We do have a no sweat class at our gym. So I remember when Chris and Amanda went to the
yeah, it is
regionals.
a HWPO sweat.
Yeah. So they went to like the regionals or whatever that was in Vegas a couple years ago. And Sammy actually led a like sweat class.
Ooh.
And it's like not using barbells and using your body and things like that. So we've also put that in, and they have like the professional athlete ones, the weightlifting ones, the sweat, so many programs that you can get into as a coach. Because
they even have a golf one. Oh,
yes.
Look at that, Dennis.
Dennis. No, Dennis, do not. You are sticking with CrossFit. Pick a point.
And listen to Carol.
Listen to your wife. Yeah, let's give couples information out here, huh? Yeah.
No, I'm just saying, she's a PT, man. Everyone should be listening to Carol.
I know.
Everyone who's seeing Carol.
I can't wait to schedule her for an interview.
I know. I'm so
excited. Because she just loves to talk about the human body and what it can do and what she can do to help with it.
It's all about the trust, man. We got to trust the process.
But speaking from a coach, CompTrain and HWPO, like we voiced before, to me, CompTrain was very like for beginners, getting the person their foot wet into doing CrossFit. HWPO reminds me of old CrossFit in a sense that we do a quick warm up, we do some sort of a strength. So a lot of CompTrain strength deals with a barbell. HWPO, to me, their strength is also like body weight stuff of strict pull-ups, strict chin-ups, as well as squats and presses. And then we do a Metcon or an EMOM or a quick AMRAP. And then they have accessory work for if you have time after to do that. So it really, really reminds me of when I first started CrossFit, and it kind of makes my soul a little bit happy. I did enjoy CompTrain with their strength.
I did too.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah. I thought it was very fun for all of our gym members who started and going into their first year.
Yeah. It feels like it's like the carefree version of CrossFit, and the HWPO is more like, let's focus in on like the areas we want to strengthen kind of thing.
Yeah.
At least that's what it felt like.
Yeah. And I feel like each, as we go on to the other two that we're just skimming on top of programming, each one has different things.
Right.
And just coming from a coach, I just like how HWPO is right now. Mm-hmm. I've also done the workouts. They make me very excited. Like I said, we just did reverse lunge wall balls, and everybody was like, well, is that hard on your legs? And it didn't feel like a wall ball to me. It just felt more of a core workout. And when I tell people like stabilization, you had to stabilize yourself to do that lunge and then throw it up and then catch it gradually down, because a lot of people are like, oh, I'll catch it when I'm already in the lunge. Yeah, it's like, no, it's still a wall ball. You have to catch and gradually go down. You can't break it apart.
You can't stop, do it, and then lunge.
Yeah, because that's the same as if I tell you to do a front squat with the med ball, stop, stand up, then do a push press. We need to connect it, and in order to connect it, we need to stabilize. We should be stabilizing in a wall ball.
Right.
But this really broke it down and the rhythm that you needed. So I like it because it's creating movements that I haven't seen. And I get really, really excited to try new things, especially, guys, when I've been out of doing a lot of things for almost a year because of my back and my disc, and I'm gradually getting back into it, and I'm excited. So seeing these new movements is very exciting. I also love, because in our coaches notes, we get the video of the coaches. CompTrain did the same thing. With this, I can see what a beginner should be weight-wise, time-wise. I can see what an intermediate athlete should be, and I should see what an RX athlete should be. For my classes, I usually speak to like, hey, this should be unbroken, this, and this. If you don't know what this weight is, beginners, this is your weight. Intermediate, this is your weight. RX, this is your weight. If you see these weights on the whiteboard, and I feel like even I do that, then I look and be like, oh, I can do that. Compared to sometimes we'd be like, oh, well, let's see. So you've been here for 6 months, so you should be at this weight. And then as I'm seeing you, I'm like, oh, maybe that was too light. Oh, maybe that was too heavy. I feel like with HWPO, really sticking out of scaled or beginner and intermediate to me, which is RX plus for back in the day, and then RX, there's some actual numbers to actually look at. Yes, your coach should know what you should lift, but sometimes we go off of the rails and be like, well, they don't, like, especially if I have somebody from the morning crew who I don't see as much come to nighttime, and then we're kind of discussing like, what have they lifted, things like that, and we don't really know each other. If I can put those up and they've known what they can do, and they're like, oh, well, that one actually fits for me. And that's what I also take away from old CrossFit was scaled RX plus RX.
Right.
And I loved that because it wouldn't be like me guessing what it is and me saying, oh, well, I had to scale it where I'm okay now hitting that scale button and writing in it. I did it intermediately.
Right.
Like I'm still building to that RX compared to that big scaled in RX gray area that some people do not like. So
That's
I really
true.
like that in the coach's notes. I will say, like, you have to be on time. You have to press this and be like, hey, this is all the time we got. We got to go on to the next. CompTrain had a little bit more leeway with time. HWPO is very stacked on top of each other. So if we do have a strength and we're hitting 80%, and some people's 80% are in like the 150 to the 200 something, that's a lot of weight to take out and put back. And if I have 16 people, that does take time. So it's very keeping me on my toes. And y'all, if you've been to sometimes my classes with a strength and a Metcon and 13 people, sometimes the class does run over. So it is keeping me in that like, hey, we got to go. Also me telling, members, please look up your percentages before you get here. I know you want to shut your brain off, but our class will go so much smoother. And if you don't know your percentages, then you could come out to me and be like, hey, I don't have percentages, and I can get you a framework of where we should be starting. But for all y'all been there for a year or two, you should have numbers. Mm-hmm. And that's why when I used to go to CrossFit, I would look up my numbers and I'd be like, yes, I'm hitting those. I know what I should build to, compared to, I really don't know. I didn't look. There's percentages. I don't know. Like, these are things that I want you guys to be excited that you're going to hit today. Mm-hmm. So
hold you accountable.
Yeah. My little rant on HWPO.
No, that's awesome, because I have been hearing from a lot of people in the class, since I'm not doing the programming, but I have been hearing from a lot of them saying, oh, we need to come prepared with our numbers because now they're asking us these things. And I'm like, I mean, you should be anyways. You'll get the most out of your workouts if you have those numbers with you. And just a little tip out there for all of you that don't do this, but something that Maggie and Coach Chris have done and have had me do is literally print out all of your percentages either on a notebook or a sheet of paper, writing them out and carrying them with you at the gym every day, so you can just quickly pull them out, reference them, and say, here are all my percentages, this is what I need to hit. And it's super helpful for me.
You can look it up on your phone.
Girl, it takes so much time.
No, it doesn't.
Yes,
you look it up, you see the number, and then by our weights, it has a number and it tells you the breakdown of your percentages.
That too. Some of them are not updated though, which I feel like, because sometimes I don't do that like in a workout, but I do it on my own and I need to update it to 100 pounds or whatever. I never had to do that yet, but I wonder if you can do that if on your account.
You can update things, but it's also like some of our lifts we haven't hit in a while. So you are going to be higher.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So even with this, it's just getting the mindset, okay, I know what I need to do in class. Yes, we're telling you to shut your mind off. Mm-hmm. In a sense, you can. When you have it figured out and you're like, my 50% is 100. And then I know my 60% is, this. My 70% is this. Write it on your board. Because half of the time when I'm talking, I see people writing things down. And then we're getting asked, what are we doing? It is like if you come 5 minutes before, write down your stuff. Go ahead. For my people who get off work like right at 4:15 and you're coming over at 4:30, that's fine. I'm not saying like anybody's more right here. It's just like knowing your numbers for me gets me excited to know that I'm going to hit those or know what I'm going to be at. You can also look at it and you have those numbers written down, be like, I'm not going to hit that. I don't feel so you can kind of make your own way. It's just not like with how this time is, it's not going to go any faster if you're just writing it down and I come over and, hey, so did you do your 3 sets to hit your first, rep at 50%? And you'd be like, no, I haven't even looked at my phone. I don't even know what my 50% is. Things like that. I'm like, okay, well, we got to figure that out because we're about to go in 3 minutes. I can't hold up the whole class. We can give some leeway because I'm always open to that. But like, if you want to grow, and a lot of our members, again, if you want to shut your brain off, then I'm just going to tell you, hey, you need to aim to get to a moderate weight. But for a lot of us who are out there and I hear, I want to grow, I want to do this, I want to do that, then we need to hit these numbers. We need to have them written down. We need to know what our expectation of ourselves are. And then our coach is going to give the expectation of what this workout is going to be.
100%.
Yeah.
Super helpful. Because even then, if I don't hit the number that I wanted to hit, I could still say, oh, I hit my 60% or I hit this.
Yeah, and sometimes remember, our 60% can feel like an 80% some days.
100%.
Yep.
It's part of being an athlete, right? There's going to be some days you're going to be really sore and you can't do it. And there's going to be some days you're feeling great. But at the end of the day, I think the overall theme is being prepared is always very helpful. And if you really want to see improvements, having those numbers available and ready to go or referenced is going to be super helpful.
Like when somebody says be prepared, what it reminds me of?
Like school?
No. It reminds me of a Disney movie.
Oh, really? Which one?
Lion King.
Oh, the song.
When Scar, be prepared.
That's right. Maybe you should make that a thing before the class starts playing.
Have it playing in the background.
Okay, guys, we're getting into our strength portion, and then just play the song.
Yeah, and all of a sudden they're like, "Oh no, not the Scar song
what it
again."
Means. Hey, no, that could be a thing, kind of like Phoebe Fridays. It could be Blake's like.
I gotta stop.
Get ready with Blake.
We should stop trying to make Coach Blake
Phoebe Friday
thing.
Happen. It's not going to happen. I think it's super cool. It's kind of like for, at least in my college, they had the closing time song. So everyone knew, the library's closing. We got to go. I don't know. I think it's cool giving a little catchphrase, a little song,
They're like, yeah, you are like Scar.
Yeah. A little scary. All right, let's move on to the next 2 programs. So the next program we're going to be talking about is Peruvian, but it's spelled out as PRVN. So this is great for CrossFit athletes who like to be told or set an intention for every workout that they have on a daily basis. So if you need kind of that set goal, that mind, kind of like that mind over matter thing where it helps you kind of visualize your goals for the day, this is a good one for you. This is a virtual training program led by 5-time fittest woman on earth, Tia Tume, and her coach / husband, Shane Orr. So the good thing about this program is that it too has a variety of tracks for various athletes based on age, fitness level, maybe even the goals you might have. And they also have a strong community online where you can pretty much virtually talk to other athletes who are also under the program and also compare scores with them. So it's a very fun and exciting thing. They have programs such as Proven 60, which is for all fitness levels. They have Proven Compete, which is dedicated for athletes who want to compete. Be a part of the open semifinals, things like that. And then they also have something like the Masters program, which is for athletes over the age of 35. The great thing about Proven is that it too has video instructions on various moves or things that you're doing on a day-to-day basis, and also a very detailed and written program. It's easy to use. And it has pretty much, like we mentioned, a specific goal set or intention for every day. So it kind of helps you stay accountable and also helps set a number or a certain kind of goal that you want to meet. The great thing about this is that it also has the flexibility to choose your own rest days. So that's pretty nice. For this program, we're looking at a cost of about $39.99 a month. Again, there are various tracks. So based on the track you want, the prices may vary. But overall, it sounds like such an amazing, fun, challenging, and hello, Tia Toomey. How is that? Who else can sponsor it but the fifth fittest, like 5-time fittest woman?
Yeah.
Like, that's big.
I've actually used Proven Compete, and I really, really liked it. It was before I injured my back.
Oh, cool.
And like when I did Compete, they have their own warm-up. We would do lifts. Like sometimes they would be, a hang snatch or really going into a snatch balance, things like that. You would have your weightlifting section, and then you would have your workout section, and then you would have your accessory section.
Oh, wow.
And you would complete all that. Some of these programs, when you do that, it is based on like an hour and a half to 2 hours of your day. Right? Because it is programming to get you. Yeah. So it is where you can do that. They have, like Joyce said, smaller ones. I believe they have a pregnancy one, all kinds of things. And with these programs that everybody is building, they do have those different times. Like if you just have an hour or if you have more. And I think like, Mayhem has that too, like where they will say like if you have an hour, or they'll do a questionnaire. How much time do you have?
It's kind of like GoWOD, where they're like, "Yo, you're gonna stretch for how long?" And then you kind of
go from there. I know Proven just switched to SugarWOD because they used to be on the BTWB, which I don't really care for that one when you're putting in your scores. I'm a Wodified person or a SugarWOD person. I know that
that's all I know.
Yeah, and HWPO is on SugarWOD because we have our gym do that. So I know Proven just switched over to that. I do want to try Prove It again because I really, really liked it. I've also tried Invictus, and Invictus was set up very similar. And Dave did Invictus. Jason has done Invictus programming for competing.
What do you think is like different and Proven in terms of like the workouts and how they look like compared to like something like HWPO or
you know what, to like tell you the truth, I feel like they're very similar because even when I looked into Invictus comp train, I never did one-on-one. I've only coached it. And to me, like comp train is CrossFit for everyone. It's more, I feel like sometimes more cardio than any of these other ones are.
So I think one of the coaches had mentioned that it's very cardio focused.
Yeah, and endurance. I feel like HWPO is strength, really, really big on the strength portion right now with a good workout. Proven, I haven't done affiliate, but like when I did one-on-one compete with it, it was like even when I asked our owner to do programming, it was stretching, and then I didn't have like warm up. I had stretching and warming up lifts. With this, they actually have a warm up, and Invictus had their own warm up. So you had to stretch beforehand, and I would go on GoWOD to do that. Nice. But Chris did the same thing. He set up lifts for me, and then maybe a quick EMOM, and then a workout, and then accessory work.
I like it.
Yeah, I would love for him to do it again for me, but I don't think he will. So I'll just pay for. Anyways, sour about that.
Please.
Yeah.
Programming for me. You remember that episode from Social?
Yeah.
I'm like, this is the best.
I just don't want weightlifting. I would like CrossFit in there because I love CrossFit. I love it.
I do too.
I absolutely love it. Anyways, so with Proven, I felt like there were a couple different types of lifts that I hadn't like worked with, like sets and reps wise. And then like their workouts were really cool. But like with that, like if you wanted an individualized ones, like when I went to Chris Simmons, like we worked on things that I was not good with. sometimes with these programs, you have to learn how to scale yourself. Like when I did Invictus, there wasn't a big like, if you have to scale any of this is what you'd go for. You would just look on SugarWOD and be like, what people did if they scaled it. With Proven, it reminds me of the HWPO where they're like, hey, if you're like intermediate, because they didn't have a beginner for compete, this is what you should aim for. Or they would put in their notes and be like, these need to be unbroken. This needs to be taking this long. So you could kind of gear, especially if you're doing one-on-one compete. This is not like my first time doing it. I can gear myself.
Right.
And that's why it's compete. Now they do have beginning ones. All these programs have beginning set ones. If you're at your home gym and you're just starting out, I would not go straight to compete if you just started CrossFit. And you don't know any of the movements very well. I would also try and get into classes, not do programming one-on-one.
Agreed, yeah.
But if you're not around any and they're like an hour and you're like, I want to try this thing out, I would try it for 3 months and really focus on getting into those Facebook groups and things like that and questioning things.
So is that what, like, now that I'm thinking about it, is that what like most people mention as like, oh, I do garage gym CrossFit? So when people talk about garage gym CrossFit and they like work out in their own gym, is this what they mean? Like they do their own, like pay for programming and just do it on their own?
They could pay for programming, or they might do it on their own, or they might go to CrossFit.com and look at what their workout is every day, because CrossFit.com puts out a workout every day. You can look on Pinterest. You can look online for workouts.
Because I have heard that like community exists of people who just CrossFit in their gym, and I've always been curious. I'm like, I wonder if they just like, I guess it makes sense that there's programming and they probably do their own thing. Or...
Yeah, they could. I mean, it could just be like the gyms out there. Some of them don't pay for programs and do their own. Some pay for programs. And since we're really in the age of these heavy hitters creating programming, that I think that's like the biggest thing. And they're not just creating like one-sided programming. They're trying to create programs for anybody out there.
It's super cool just to see like professional athletes moving, like, let's do this program and let's do this other one, and you could even see the difference in like styles and performance when you see these athletes move around. So it's really interesting to see, and also just the growth that's come as like how many more programs are available. Because I remember HWPO obviously just happened after Matt Frazier retired and he left and everything. And I was like, oh no, he's also, if you guys haven't seen him, he's so much fun to watch. Like look up some of his YouTube videos. He's an amazing athlete. But yeah, when I heard he was doing his programming and everything, I got really excited.
Yeah, because you're like, well, he's obviously amazing.
A monster. Yeah.
So what does he do? But again, if I'm just like a regular athlete, which I am, and I'm not competing, we have to be very mindful. Like that took hours and hours and years for him to get that, and discipline and commitment. So don't ever be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be like Matt Frazier if I do
no, yeah. It's like a full-time job. Like I've heard his interviews before, and he's always talking about like it wasn't fun sometimes. He's like, I wouldn't be able to eat the things I wanted to, and I wouldn't be able to like, engage in certain like social events because I have to go to sleep and wake up early and for the gym and stuff. And he's like, it's a full-time gig for years and years of your life. And I'm just like, that sounds hard,
Yeah, it does. So
but thank you guys for doing the work.
Yeah.
So grateful for that.
Well, let's go into the last one that we're gonna skim over, which is Mayhem. And Jared, who goes to our gym, we just use names on here, like you guys know him, but Jared is the one who helped us make our sign.
That's right.
Owner of Discount Signs, and
very nice guy, very funny,
nice.
Has amazing puns on Facebook.
Dad jokes.
I love his dad jokes. They're so good. I'm a sucker for dad jokes.
He also does diving. He's a huge entrepreneur because he did.
Yeah. He's kind of a celebrity in Kingman.
Helicopter.
He also helps rent the facility for our gym, right?
Yes, he's the owner of the building.
Yeah.
Yes, he has all kinds of stuff. But he's a Mayhem athlete. He used to be an Invictus one with Dave.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. but it was created by 10-time CrossFit Games champion Rich Froning. So each one of these people, even Ben from Comp Train, was really big in the CrossFit community and lifting. His gym, CrossFit Freedom in Tennessee, is one of the most famous affiliates in the world. More than 1,600 affiliates follow this programming. Its focus is placed on endurance, weightlifting, running, and aerobic activity. The pros provide a variety of scaling modification equipment substitutions and has large class options. It ranges from $20 a month for everyday athlete to $49.95 a month for competition packages. When I was looking at programming, because I had been with Invictus, and I was like, oh, let's check out other things. I will say the thing that I felt about Mayhem has so many options. Like, I feel like they have like 200 options.
Oh, wow.
Like, so many. And for my ADHD brain,
That's
it
too
was a little
much.
bit overload of like, oh, because they have like bodybuilding. They have accessory, they have competing, they have the everyday athlete. Like, they have so much. And I feel like everybody does, but maybe how their website was set up back in the day, I was just like stimulated, overloaded, like a very overloaded brain right now.
Which one do I pick?
But like seeing Jared work out with it, and I would do some workouts with him. They're really fun workouts.
Yeah.
They're really hard sometimes, which most of the programs that I've been to, there have been hard workouts. But they were really, really fun. Some of his lifting complexes, I was like, whoa, what? You have to do all that? But again, he was doing competing. He does, the open and qualifies and things like that. So when you get into these programs, be very, very mindful of that. Like, some of them are really, really tough because you have an end goal. So with any of these programs, what is your goal with them? And I feel like majority of them do have that. And they have like little inserts of like what each one is geared for. Sometimes like reading them, I am like, wait, is that for me? Because that one sounds like mine, but this one sounds like mine. So if I do that, is that going to be too much, or is this going to be too little? They do have free trials. A lot of them do like a week free trial, which is hard because you're like, can I do a week? So if you do that, sign up on Sunday. So then you have all week to really get into it if you do Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. Yeah. So some of them have those trials where you can try them. But these are just like a little bit insight. And I believe that we're going to do like another little
part two
on
for
this.
some other programs that maybe we can look into and provide some more insight on. But these are definitely, I would say, maybe the top, or the ones that were most at least talked about
right now.
Right. Or referenced or that we've heard of. So hopefully that's a nice little glimpse into programming. Again, most gyms will most likely have their own programming or may, hire certain programming, but there is also individual options. So that's good to know, because I personally did not know that was a thing. So
yeah, like I only knew of Invictus back in the day, but it was also like because I watch things, and when you hear Invictus, and you see all the people that they bring to the games and all these people who are Invictus athletes and athletes that you watch, you're like, oh man, I want to see what Invictus has to offer me. Am I gonna go to the games? Remember, y'all, my plan is in like 25 to 30 years, so I have plenty of time to pick a program.
Get started.
Yeah. But I feel like you can't really go wrong with a lot of these. And if you don't like it, a lot of them you just message, or you just unsubscribe, because it is a monthly and it's very easy. I haven't found like a hard one that was hard to get out of. Because if you have an injury and you go to your physical therapist and they're like, oh, you're going to be out for 3 months. I would not pay for that for 3 months.
Oh, no.
And they're not going to charge you a $10 fee
Like
if
a
you come back,
cancellation?
or a cancellation fee, or like, oh, I have to come back. Like, they're not going to be like, oh, because you already signed up. You know, it's going to be the same price. You're just not going to get that week free, which you wouldn't if you.
$10 spiteful fee.
Yeah.
And
No, it's just like month. So if you know, like, your thing comes out the 5th of every month, just know, like, oh, I got hurt on the 10th. You're still paid for that month, but please go on there. Because maybe some of them do have like a 30-day notice. So if you don't notify them within that 30 days, some people do that too. When you sign up for things, make sure you're very mindful of those.
read the small text.
Yes, this tiny print. Are you ready for the news?
The news.
Are you ready for it? So the news is not about programming.
Ooh, I'm
No.
still intrigued.
This was brought to you by Morning Chalk Up or Barbend, because they're the similar companies. And this
Don't mind me. I'm just
was written by Scott Frymond. Excuse me if I interrupt. Frymond. Excuse me for interrupting your name, sir. I mean, if I'm not pronouncing it right, sorry. So, a lot of you might already know, but Sean Woodland will not be calling the play-by-plays for the CrossFit Games.
What?
Yes, and he's been doing this for like 12 years. I was like, that's as long as I've been in CrossFit. Or almost, not as. I'm like 9 or 10 years.
Extra upset in that case.
I'm upset for how it went down for him.
Uh-oh.
Like, a little side note.
Tell us.
I started watching when he was in his beginning stage of announcements. Like, I backtracked and watched some of the games. And I mean, we're all human. But sometimes he would get the names wrong. And I'd be like, dude, that's not him. And I'm like, but maybe the camera guy, like what he's seeing on his play-by-play is that person. And
hey, some
the
of those
cameras
names are
didn't.
hard, man.
Mm.
Think of Katrin and Annie
Yeah,
with
but
the daughters.
okay,
and
but think of this. He's talking about Katrin and Laura Horvath is on the camera. And you're like,
oh, no.
why are you talking about Katrin's numbers? And they'd be competing in the same section. But you're like, if you're talking about that person, wouldn't the camera person be on that person? So who knows what the mix-up is with that? Sometimes, I mean, not everybody's perfect because everybody who does play-by-plays now has made up some mistakes too. So
He will read everything on the teleprompter.
that's what I do, and I screw everything up. But I'm also like, hey, like, can we kind of figure that out? All right.
I mean, at this point, they should be at a,
They should. But I know that they're not. I am very sad not
That explains the news.
I'm very sad that he's not going to be in it because he is, like, I know his voice and everything. Like, I have, ever since I've been in CrossFit, I have watched him be at opens.
It's like
talk about the games.
eliminating Ryan Seacrest from American Idol.
Yeah, it's hard because you just know that person and you know that they do actually know what they're talking about. But what he said to say that I'm disappointed would be a major understatement.
Ooh.
Because, like, for him, this is when he got the information. This is what he put on Instagram. Like, he's probably been informed of the reasoning now. I have not seen what the reasoning was. And maybe down the road, because this episode is coming out later, I might figure it out, or you guys can message me to let me know what the tea is, because I want to know why this person has been doing it for so long. And when he found out, he didn't have the reasoning. So, like, what is going on? He did thank fans and athletes, and there was an outpour to him of tons of athletes thanking him for everything that he did and announcing and the big, his big part that he had in play-by-plays and CrossFit and some of the CrossFit events, because they would do before the games and really talk about everything and go on podcasts and reach out about what athletes he enjoyed watching, or what were some big upsets, what were some big surprises.
Man.
He started CrossFit the same year the game started. So back in 2007 is when he started, and he actually started in California. Yeah. So
Aw.
his first time at the games was in 2011. He went as a fan because he didn't start
Girl, we need to get
announcing.
tickets for the
I
games
know.
at some point.
He didn't start announcing until the 12th. I would love some if y'all got some free.
We're going to do a fundraiser.
I am free that weekend. We weren't, but now we are.
I mean,
So he was a fan, but then what he started noticing is the CrossFit media, and he saw the mics that they were holding that said ESPN on it. He's like, what? This is on TV? This is on ESPN? And he just started like getting to be like, how do I get involved in this?
we're
What do I
legit
do?
now.
Yeah. What do y'all do to get into this? So it was that he had emailed CrossFit media. He didn't get anything back. Kind of like what I do when I reach out to people. I know.
Oh, man.
In 2012, he got his level 1, which was a catalyst to get him to his CrossFit career, because he did end up going and reaching out to CrossFit media like in person and being like, hey, what do I do to get to this? And they're like, email me personally, so then that person brought him up and into it. And his first call was with Tanya Wagner at the women's individual competition in 2012 Central East Regionals. All right. That opened the door to calling plays at the games that same year.
Ooh, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So for the things that he has done and how fast he grew and what he's been a very key player in these play-by-plays. And to not have him, I know Chase Ingram is going to be that person now. So I mean,
I did like his voice though. He had such a
Sean Woodland's voice.
yeah.
Because there is Adrian who did a lot of the regionals and things like that, not Bosman. He's more of the head judge for a lot of things, but Adrian did more of the regionals. And I think Adrian's very, very spunky. And like I said, he has very, very like, hey, we're watching the games and this is what's going on. What do you think? And very into it. And sometimes like the people he had were not as spunky. And I was
It
like,
reminds me of like, this is total tangent, but have you ever seen an extremely goofy movie where like Max goes on skateboards and then there's like that one announcer guy on the blimp and he's like, going to you at the X Games.
yeah.
Like that's what he reminds me of.
Yeah. And I'm like, he's very peppy in
Such a
this
bro,
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is. And I was like, sometimes that's a little bit too much.
Too much bro.
Yeah. But it's also like each announcer is going to be keyed for a certain group of people. And I know with Lauren Khalil, like they brought her in, and with being a woman who could do play-by-plays, and maybe they were thinking, okay, this would be more outreach to the women out there and things like that. I felt like Sean was like an all-around announcer because he would be excited. He did have a certain like low-key voice. But like with that, like getting the knowledgeable things. And I do feel like Chase Ingram kind of is going into that.
Yeah.
So he did, say good job chasing, for that. And
He's probably
Chase
like, I
sent
have
something
to.
back. Yeah. I mean, I don't think it was like Chase's call. And if it was, then like, bro, could have just reached out to somebody like, hey, this is happening.
Right.
But we don't know. Again, he didn't know the reasoning when he put the Instagram post on. I can't find the reasoning.
Scandal.
If CrossFit you put out there that this person's no longer doing it and that person doesn't know the reasoning, like I would have put out, he will no longer be announcing due to this reasoning.
I would have responded and been like, wait, I am?
Yeah. I'd be like, I got tickets, like, so I'm just there.
Oh man, that's
yeah.
rough.
So like finding out what happened, and I know people are like they're growing. Are they growing in the right way? We won't know. But to kind of like look at it on that evil side of like, hey, this person's been doing it for 12 years. Are you going to do this to a lot of people in this community? Are you going to be like, hey, you know that thing that you were supposed to do a month in, like next month? You're not doing it anymore. Like, I feel like that's not what we want. This community does not want that. And, you know, I shouldn't be speaking for everybody, but the reason why I love CrossFit community and watching the games and things like that is because how wholeheartedly they cheer for people, and we've brought people together. And like, even in other episodes that we've talked to or interviewed people, and it was like people were there when you were having a rough day. People don't question things. I'm sure if somebody was like, hey, I straight up murdered somebody, we'd probably like, oh, that's what you did on Tuesday. And then I would probably look at somebody and be like, 911 in Morse code.
Blink.
That was your Tuesday? You want to sit down and do like a bench press with me for a second? I'm just going to get someone to call 911. What I mean is like, if you're like, hey, I'm having a rough day, I don't want to talk about it. Okay. Let's get you a win today.
It's true.
Yeah, so I don't think that's shady. Some shade going on over there.
I mean, Dave Castro and that whole incident and everything, and you know, there's always been a little bit of scandal in the CrossFit community.
Yeah, one makes me think like, though, what is Don Fowl doing?
Well, you know,
good old Don.
Lots of moves, man. Lots of moves.
Yeah,
but I had no idea.
I want to know what's going on. So maybe if I find out, I'll do a quick recap.
Right?
Like, Joycey's not here, but I had to tell you guys, even though I bet you guys have already seen it on Instagram. I just have to get it out there.
It's like I must release it before I self-destruct.
Yeah, and we cannot wait for this. But it won't be announced for another 2 weeks because we have episodes that are geared for each thing.
You're like, if I'm murdered, you knew who it was.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
But yeah, that was the news. I mean,
Well,
I did tell you about the affiliates that were charging like $1,600 to $4,500, but I was like, I really don't want to make that the news.
Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of a damper. Well, this one was a little dampery too, though. But I mean,
thanks.
I was like, I didn't know.
Dampering. This
Hey, it's
news.
news, man. It's news. Bad or good, you know. Either way, it is news. But anyways, back to programming. But yeah, we're so glad. Thank you to everyone for allowing us a chance to share with you some info on programming. We hope this will be super helpful in not only nurturing your CrossFit knowledge, but also as a tool, you know, for when you're dropping in at another gym. This is always something you could feel free to ask to, you know, a fellow CrossFit gym that you're dropping in on, you know, letting them know, hey, you know, what kind of programming are you guys following? What can I expect here, right? But if there is any program in particular that is of interest to you, please let us know. You can feel free to reach out to a coach also for any information on those. But yeah, reach out to us. Let us know if there's a topic of interest you would like us to cover. We would love to hear from you.
Yeah, so a big thank you to my co-host. This episode was written and edited by us. Shout out to you guys though for listening, even through my rants. A big thing is for you guys that you guys listen, and it helps when we see those reviews on Apple Podcasts or the rating on Spotify, or even when we get some
to see you at the gym.
Yeah, at the gym, hearing that you guys liked the episode, or some DMs that we get on our Instagram.
Too.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome that you guys. It makes our hearts flutter and we get excited and just brings this
Very
mama
meaningful.
to happiness.
Yes.
Our music is from SoundCloud and Upbeats. Findings are from GarageGymRevisited.com, GarageGymReviews.com, CompTrain.com, HWPOTraining.com, ProvenFitness.com, MayhemAthletes.com, and Morning Chalk Up for the news. If you feel like this podcast is your swig of pre-workout, please subscribe, follow, and leave a review.
That's right.
And how can they reach out to us?
Through our email or our Instagram.
And what is our
At
email?
Savagely Skilled. Well, for Gmail, it's Savagely Skilled #1 at gmail.com.
And Yes, at Savagely Scaled
At
for
Savagely
TikTok and
Scaled.
Instagram. And like Joycey said, if you guys have a topic or something that you guys just want us to rant about at gym, CrossFit specifically, because we do too much of life stuff before we record podcasts.
Yeah, we probably spend like a cold 30 minutes to an hour
Yeah.
just venting.
Before we even set into like making sure our mics work or anything for our episodes, we go into life stuff, and then it's like, oh yeah, we gotta do this.
We
thing.
gotta record an episode.
But yeah,
That's
until-
life though, right? That's
Yep.
life.
Until
We meet.
at the whiteboard
Again.
again.
Bye.